Hey guys, let me show you what I do to get ready for the garden. I use a Happy Planner. This is not just my garden planner, but my everyday planner. Since I'm not working right now, I don't need a full-size one, and so I use this mini and use it for scheduling, and then in the back I use it for planning out my garden and other notes. So let me show you what I do. Okay, so here is the little garden section of my planner. This is the rest of it. This section back here is dedicated to that. And so, starting in January, I decide, do I need to buy seeds? If so, what am I getting? And let's go get them. I make sure I gather seed catalogs so that I can browse more easily at places I need to order from. Sometimes the websites of seed companies are not the easiest to navigate. Not that they're complicated, but you don't always get to see everything at once, and a catalog just is much more helpful. And so anything that I want to look at that way, make sure I have the catalog for. Next, I start getting any seed supplies that I need to acquire, or not even just going to purchase them, because I purchased in bulk a couple of years ago, and they're high quality pots and trays, and so I don't have to rebuy every year unless they decide to break in the cold in my shed. But I just get them out, get them cleaned if they need to be cleaned, just have them ready and available for when I need to use them. And then I plant my garden. And so here is a small sample of my garden. Well, not small sample. These are my garden beds. And I decide what's going where, and that's the plan. So in my biggest garden bed, there'll be squash and corn this year. I don't necessarily rotate, like rotation gardening. I don't do that necessarily, but sometimes things get changed up depending on where I want or how I want to do things. So squash and corn, tomatoes and broccoli, tomatoes, beets and parsnip and rutabaga, tomato and carrots. I have peas and beans, some peppers, asparagus and strawberries are dedicated to this bed all the time. And then where I put my trellis up, there'll be some cucumbers, and then on half that I don't trellis will be more peppers. This will be my biggest pepper area. I do a lot of peppers. Next up, we have our berries. I have blackberries and raspberries. In like a 25-gallon pot, I put a couple plants of cucamelons or mouse melons or Mexican sour gherkins, whichever name you want to call them. 3 more tomatoes and whiskey barrels. And then 2 more whiskey barrels full of herbs. No, these ones are not whiskey barrels. These ones are the troughs. I can't think of the galvanized troughs, the circle ones. That's where my herbs go. And then over here in a different part of my garden, I have more whiskey barrels for herbs. And this year, something different I'm doing is in the front of my house, I have a flower bed area where I used to grow pumpkins and melons. We didn't really have a long enough season to do that well, and so I'm deciding to change it into tomatoes and tomatillos. So then in February, again, we bred our rabbits on the 4th, and so got to keep track of when that happens. And then this is when I wanted to start seeds, and then just the different things that I needed to do for the month. Start the slow germination seeds, which is like peppers and maybe not all slow germination, but like my cabbages and broccolis, things that are more cold hardy, is what I did then. And then after, preparing, looking for seeds, thinking about seeds, deciding if there are any holes in the current seeds that I have that I need to replace. So I found some of my onions didn't have seeds in them anymore, the packs, and so I had to replace those. Or like tomatoes that I know I like to grow annually, making sure I get those seeds. I didn't have any more purple tomatillo seeds, so I went and got those. So that's what I meant by do you need any? And then finishing up the plant. So this, what I just showed you, wasn't finalized until I knew exactly what I wanted to plant this year. And then here's my list. These are all the tomatoes. You can pause and look at it if you want. The top ones are cherries and grape tomatoes up until yellow pear. The rest is slicing and paste tomatoes. Here are my cucumbers, tomatillos, and pepper list. You can pause and look at that if you want. Onions, corn, squash, and broccoli. One thing I can say is squash for me is quite prolific, so I don't need a whole bunch of plants to keep me in squash over the summer. And you notice that in broccoli I have my cauliflower and cabbage listed here as well. My flower list. These are the ones that I mostly grow annually. Yes, miscellaneous, artichoke, and hibiscus. And here's my herb list. And then just kind of some miscellaneous that I don't really prepare for. These go straight into the garden. Beans and peas grow really fast, so I don't have to pre-start them. They just go straight in and grow. Carrots. So yes, and radishes, I should be putting those in the garden soon. And those also are not, it's just easier to put all this just straight into the garden. So I don't plan ahead for these. Those just go in as I get the beds done. Okay, so March here. March, we are in March now, if you didn't know. And this is what I have to do this month. So the 6th was when, so yesterday was the 6th, is when my rabbit was supposed to have given birth. She didn't, so it wasn't a successful breed. And so we'll have to try again, probably in the next week or two. And then I need to harden off my plants, which are all the cold hardies. So like the cabbage and broccoli and cauliflower. I want to get those out into the garden now so that they have time to grow and be ready to be pulled out when my summer garden's ready to go in. So that's what I need to do there. The next thing is planting. Hopefully by this time the plants will be big enough and then I can plant them out here and start the next round of seeds. So all the tomatoes and cucumbers and tomatillos and flowers and ... You saw the list. Start seeds. And that's all I have really planned for now. I don't have anything like in my notes that I need to be aware of. And I have April planned here. Make sure I get the compost in the bed so that it has time to kind of settle in and do its thing, and fertilize the beds. So compost, fertilize. And then at the end of the month, we start hardening off all the seeds that I started at the end of March. So fertilize seedlings, that's something that you have to do midway through your seedling growth so that they continue to grow healthy. Harden off the plants. You always want to harden off your plants before putting them just into your garden because you can damage them. Prep garden beds, start corn, sunflower seeds the week of the 9th. So this is the first time I'm going to try this. Usually I'll put corn and sunflowers just directly into the ground, but I saw someone else on social media start her sunflowers in let me show you, in like this kind of pot, just real small, like 3 weeks before she put them outside. And this was just to give them a head start on growing. Just get them sprouted, make sure that they actually do sprout, and then she'll bury them and put them in the ground. So I thought I was gonna try that this year, and I have a lot of sunflowers I want to start, so I thought this would be a good way to do that. And also corn. I'm gonna start corn this way, and hopefully I can get a pretty good germination rate with my corn and get them in the garden in a way that is a little more secure. So that's what I'm trying this year, and it'll be brand new for me trying to do it that way. And so this is my April calendar. Again, no notes. Here's May. Hardening off plants, planting out some of the garden, or this is where I'm going to start planting the garden. It'll take me a week or 2, or maybe 3 to get everything in. One thing you'll see here, if you're paying attention, it says gather eggs for planting. So one tip that I've got watching YouTube, Jessica Sowards at Roots and Refuge Farm has been doing this in her garden for years, and she got it from an old-time gardener that she ran into once, and so ever since I heard her talk about it, I've been doing it in my garden, and I have tremendous success rate. And so what you do is you dig your hole for your plant, and maybe another 4 inches deeper than your plant needs, and then you drop an egg in, crack it, and then cover it with a layer of soil, and then you put your plant in. And that's just an instant hit of nutrition for your plant. The horror stories that I've heard, though, from doing this is that if you live in a place that has, like if you're in a place not in the city, if you're in the country and you have a lot of wild animals around you, and squirrels and raccoons and ... I don't know what other animals, but a lot of people have their plants dug up for the animals to get the egg. That's never happened to me. I've been able to successfully bury my eggs, put my plants in, and no animals try to get them. But I am in the suburbs. I'm in the city-ish kind of city. City enough that I don't have to worry about those kind of animals. So that's what I do. And I've gotten double the size plants than when I don't do it. One time I did an experiment where I put in every other plant one plant yes with egg and one plant no with no egg. And the plants that didn't have the egg under it did not do as well as the plants that did have the egg under it. So there you go. You do what you need to do and decide what you want to do. But this is what I'm going to do. And so I have chickens. I have a bunch of eggs in the fridge from last fall, from when the chickens were still laying heavily. And I have a whole little bucket just kind of set aside. Those are my older eggs that I'm not going to eat now, but are still good for doing this. And then I'll supplement with whatever they're laying currently to do this with. Okay, that's what I'm doing. So hardening off, plant out garden. So that's what I have so far. I don't have anything into June because nothing more really happens like that I have to fully be aware of. The only thing I would say is that I might wait till June to put my peppers out. So I'll have pretty big plants by the time June comes around for my peppers. But if you put your peppers out before it's warm outside, your plants could stunt. So be aware of that. But yeah, this is how I plan out my garden. I hope that helps you in deciding what you're going to do in your garden, or how you're going to plan your own. Yeah. Let me know if there's anything you want to see, have questions about, and I'd be happy to share that with you. Take care, guys.